Hi, this is Megan Sanicki. I'm the Executive Director of the Drupal Association, and today we have a short presentation for anyone who is considering running for the Drupal Association Board. Before I get started, I just want to say thank you for being willing to donate your time in this very special way. It's a fantastic opportunity to serve the community and be the voice of the community as the board comes together and talks about the Drupal Association mission and how to best serve the community together. So today's presentation will be short. We're just going to cover what does the Drupal Association Board do, how do nominations and elections work, and who can run, and how do you run. So let's go ahead and dive in. So it's important to know who is on the board. We have 12 seats altogether. One is for Dries Butart, which is the founding director seat, and obviously it's because he's the founder of the project, and that seat gets renewed every year. Then the other seats are class director seats, and they serve 3-year terms. We have a nominating committee that identifies what kind of skills and expertise we need on the board, and they go out and they find people that match those needs and recruit them to join. And that's how we get our class directors. And then, of course, we have the seats that you are running for, which are the at-large director seats, the community elected seats. And we have 2 seats, and they serve for 2 years. And we stagger them so that we vote in a new community member every other year. And the Drupal Association Board is responsible for the strategic direction, or setting the strategic direction for how we serve our mission. And this is our mission. Drupal powers the best of the web, and the Drupal Association unites a global open source community to build and promote Drupal. And that's a really big mission. And so the board comes together to talk about how are we going to best serve that mission and make the biggest impact for the project given where it is today, knowing that we have a staff of 16 people and limited resources, like any organization does. And so their job is to really guide the work of the association, obviously not doing the work. They don't get into the day-to-day operations, but there's all kinds of strategic conversations that they have. And it's very important that you understand when you come on the board that you have certain duties that you're legally bound to. Duty of care, duty of loyalty, and duty of obedience. So duty of care is really about making sure you are giving up enough time or contributing enough time to have the discussions that we need to have to move things forward. And what that really means is you need to be available for 2 to 3 off-site retreats that last 2 days, 2 virtual executive sessions that last about 2 hours, participate in 4 public board meetings that last about an hour, and participate in task force to move a certain topic forward. So that's all within 1 year. It's roughly 5 hours a month. And while we do ask board members to pay for their travel to retreats, the DA does have budget to help you. So you don't have to pay your way to get to these retreats, and we don't want finances to ever be a barrier for a great community member to be on the board. So let me talk about duty of loyalty. So this is about acting on behalf of the organization rather than your own personal interests. So board members have to put away those interests, whether it's about their personal, professional concerns, and they have to put the nonprofit's interests first. And they also have to make sure that they avoid potential conflicts of interest. So at times you might have to recuse yourself if we're, for some reason, talking about something that is touching very closely to your world that you might be able to benefit from. So that's duty of loyalty. And then there's duty of obedience, where board members need to make sure that the organization complies with all federal, state, and local laws and regulations, and that it remains committed to its established mission. So in other words, are we meeting our financial obligations so that we can keep our nonprofit status? And is our work grounded in the mission? So it's really important that you can read financial documents and you understand some basics around nonprofit work. And just generally to make sure that our work and our discussions about the work are really grounded in the mission itself. So those are some things that are very critical that you keep in mind when you decide to become a board member. But it also helps to understand what do we talk about so that you can decide if you are able to really contribute to those conversations. So one of the first things that you want to make sure you can do is read financial documents, because we oversee financial performance. We set the strategy for the organization, deciding which part of the mission or different parts of the mission that we move forward. We set and review policies, from financial policies to conflict of interest policies. We also fundraise. So for example, 2 years ago, the board raised $250,000 for the Drupal 8 Accelerate campaign, which helped generate a lot of grants that we use to get Drupal 8 out the door. And it's likely that we'll have more fundraisers done by the board in the future. So be ready to think, how would you help raise funds if we were to do another campaign? The board is also my boss. And so they manage me, giving me my KPIs and my goals and objectives for the year. They give me my performance review every year as well. So that's another fun aspect of being on the board. So let's break it down a little bit more into what do we actually talk about? What are the important discussions that we need to have in 2017 and likely into 2018? So those conversations range from strengthening the association's sustainability, growing Drupal adoption through our channels and partner channels, and evolving goals and strategies for Drupal.org and DrupalCon. And those are pretty vague. So let me speak to each one. So the first one, which is strengthen sustainability, has to do with the fact that the association had to just go through some hard changes in 2016 to correct its financial situation. And that's so the association could be sustainable for a long period of time. So through layoffs and by going virtual, we were able to realign revenue with expenses. We're on much stronger footing, but we still have more work to do on this front to be truly healthy. And so since the board focuses primarily a lot on financial oversight, we will be continuing to discuss how to make the Drupal Association sustainable and stronger while achieving our mission work. So that's one area that you'll be involved in. Talking about how, about growing Drupal adoption, well, let's look at that. So we've spent the last few years investing in tooling and services to help get Drupal 8 out the door, from semantic versioning to Drupal CI, Composer, sprints. We helped on many fronts. And that work does continue. And with Drupal 8 now out the door for over a year, we are really leaning into the promote Drupal side of our mission, which is something we really haven't been doing over the last couple years. So it's time that we step into that part of our mission work. And we're doing it by looking at our two channels, Drupal.org and DrupalCon, to see what we can do to help end users be inspired and informed when they come to these channels, and then to connect them with Drupal businesses that can really take them through the adoption journey and help them finally decide on building with Drupal. And we are also focusing on partner channels. So we have lots of Drupal businesses out there. So how can we partner with them to help them grow their pipeline and ask their customers to come to DrupalCon so we can kind of support their sales process. So there's a lot that we can do with our business community by partnering with them to help grow Drupal adoption. So that's another area of focus. And then finally, as I've mentioned, we have these two channels, Drupal.org and DrupalCon. That is primarily the work that the association does. They support two journeys, the community members' contribution journey and the end user's adoption journey. And the board discusses how we best serve the project and these two journeys by leveraging Drupal.org and DrupalCon. And again, we can't do everything all at once. And so the board really has to update their strategic frame and strategic direction for what are we going to improve now given where the project is? Or what are some new goals we need to achieve given where the project is? So those are some things that we'll be talking about quite a bit. So you might be involved in discussions around modernizing the developer tools on Drupal.org, or you might be involved in how to reach beyond our community to invite more potential end users to DrupalCon so that we can get more people involved in the project and just growing Drupal adoption and using DrupalCon as a tool. So some things that you would be talking about in the board retreats with the other board members. So as you can see, these topics are very strategic in nature, and we really are not talking at the tactical level. And they require, an understanding of open source life cycle and how it includes a contribution and adoption journey. These conversations are very grounded in our mission work, but also in financial. And so it's important that you ask yourself, do you like talking at strategic levels? Do you like talking about finances? Do you understand where the project is and the open source lifecycle and where we really need to focus our limited resources today? And so if you do like those kinds of conversations, then being a board member will be great for you. You should also know that our agendas are set by the executive committee and myself. The executive committee is made up of the chairman, the treasurer, and the secretary, which today is Dries Butart, Tiffany Ferris, and Mike Lamb. And they set the agenda for our retreats and decide which topics to discuss. We do get suggestions from the board and can include them in from time to time. And the reason I point this out is that you are joining the board to participate in these discussions. And so if you are seeking to become a board member so that you can push an agenda, it may not be a topic that gets discussed at a board retreat. So it's just important that you understand that you're participating in the agenda that the overall board set and not pushing something through. However, we do want to hear what you think is an important topic to talk about, and we'll see how that fits into the overall discussion needs that we have. And then, of course, as we discuss, you will be using your own perspective to engage in that conversation. And whatever that special topic is, I'm sure will be somehow connected to the overall discussion. And so there's lots of opportunities for you to share your voice and the community's voice. But I do like to give some clarity there. So with that said, and now that you know a bit more of what kinds of topics we'll be discussing, I think it's important to just understand how nominations and elections work. So as we've mentioned, candidates self-nominate themselves through a form in the elections module. You cannot nominate someone else. And nominations are accepted during a short period of time. This year it's February 1 through February 17. And you fill out a candidate profile page. You will be asked for some information, your bio and your photo, your motivation for running, your relevant experience, especially as it relates to the topics that we will be discussing, as well as contact information. You'll also be asked to create a 3-minute video, kind of an elevator pitch of why people should vote for you, and you can add that to your profile page. And then once this period is over, we will be inviting the community to come and read your profile page and to watch your video. We call it Meet the Candidates phase. At that time, candidates will receive comments from the community on their page. They'll be asked questions, and this is an opportunity for you to have discussions with the community. And of course, you can blog and use social media to get the word out and get more people to check out your candidate profile page. And once it's time to open up voting, we invite the community to come and vote using the instant runoff voting process, where voter ranks the candidate choices. And it's a great process that's resulted in excellent candidates joining the board year after year. It makes sure that every vote matters, every vote counts. We keep voting open for about a week to 2 weeks, and voters need to meet the eligibility requirements, which are rather simple. They need to have a Drupal.org account, and they need to have been logged into that account for the past year. So that is who gets to vote on the candidates. So who can run and how do I run? That might be the question going through your head right now. So who can run? Anyone. The community is very large. There's many kinds of people in the community all over the world. And the community voice is, it's what the community decides is the community voice. And so when you fill out your candidate profile page, you'll be asked to express what kind of perspective you'll bring and how you'll be contributing to these discussions. So just share, be very clear and transparent about what perspective you will be bringing to the board. And then ultimately the community decides which perspective is most needed at this time. It's really paid off very well in the past. And so don't feel that, oh, I'm from this region, or I have this experience, or I do this kind of work with Drupal. That, don't think that you don't fit the criteria. Anyone can run. And I will say it does help to have some of these skills and experiences, though. So do you have other board experience? Do you know what it's like to be on a board? Do you know how to read financial documents? That is critical. This is a big need for board members. Have you ever been on a Drupal community committee? Have you had to engage in discussion about how to move things forward? Those tend to be strategic in nature as well. And then, of course, do you have experience and do you like strategic planning? And do you have experience with policy development? These are the kinds of things that you want to ask yourself so that to make sure you're prepared before getting on the board. So how do you run? Well, first, you have to read the mission statement, make sure you understand that, as well as the bylaws and the board member agreement. And all of this can be found on the community elections page and also in the blog where we announce that the process has begun. We want to make sure you read all of these things before you run so that we know that you understand what is being asked of you. And then, of course, you nominate yourself, you complete your candidate profile page, create that 3-minute video and upload it to your page. When we have that phase called Meet the Candidates, you're going to be answering community comments if they post any to your page. Then, of course, you want to promote your candidacy through your different channels. And this is the timeline that we're going to use. So self-nominations will be from the 1st to the 19th of February. Meet the Candidates will be February 20th to the 4th of March. And voting will take place from the 6th to the 18th of March. Votes will be ratified, and the winner will be announced the 24th of March. So that's a high-level overview of what it means to be on the board and what kind of discussions you'll be engaged in, and how to move through the nomination and election process. I hope that was helpful. And again, thank you so much for being interested in contributing in this way. And whoever wins this board seat, please know I am really looking forward to working with you. If you have any questions, you can reach me on Twitter or directly through email. Thank you and good luck.